screen sharing.
All right, so we are going to call this meeting to order at 9 a.m. And we're going to begin with our welcome and introductions. So I am Angie Center and I am chair this year. So this is actually the first meeting of the year that I get to be here. I wasn't with you in September, my apologies, but I was at the Colfax Fair doing fair things. So I had handed off to Brandon that day. So I think we will do we do a quick around the room or do we just do executive council in?
That's up to you.
Oh, look at me, I get to make calls today.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do executive council because it's a little hard to do online. It looks like we have 37 people online and I love that. So it's a little hard to do online and I want to be cognizant of everyone's time. So most of my executive council is in the room and I do see Carla online. So let's do executive council. Yep.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Brandon Friss. I'm the vice chair for APAC this year. I'm in Pullman and I work in the School of Biological Sciences. So glad you're either here in person or tuning in.
Hi, I'm Casey Bumforth. I am the town management administrator at the WSU Foundation, and I am the past treasurer, but I am an official on the leadership council.
Carla?
Good morning. I'm Carla Ely Marroquin. I work here at WSU Spokane in Student Affairs, and I am the current treasurer. So.
Wonderful. Glad to have you with us, Carla. And we'll meet our committee chairs and some committee participants as we get through that part. Okay, so the chair's report, a few things going on. One, I was able to represent you all at the Regents meeting last month, and that report was very well received. And they seem to be very happy with what we're doing and kind of helping to bridge the gap in communications between things going on in upper administration and HR and our AP constituencies. So they were very happy with that. Also very happy that some of our system-wide communications are also echoing that one WSU kind of communication plan that we're trying to be all one, all APs, regardless of your location, all have the same value. We all need to be on the same boat, getting the same types of communications. But being pretty strategic about what's specific to certain locations. So, you know, if you're in Everett, if we're doing an in-person only event in Pullman, that communication is not relevant to you. So we're trying to be very strategic in what goes in what direction. So kudos to Anna that's kind of helping with that, and the marketing and communications committee, just kind of cleaning that up a little bit for us. So that went really well. There was nothing said at the meeting from any other constituency group that was new or, you know, that we didn't understand that was going to come down the pipeline. So it was really good. It was, it's good to have a seat at the table for some of that kind of stuff and to be able to promote what we're doing. Last month's meeting had to do, I remember now. Last month's meeting, we went over what we did. Percipio, thank you. Yes. Wow, not enough coffee. Half a donut, but not enough coffee. It was about Percipio. That's one of the 3 initiatives that we are still working on this month. So there's 3 things that we're really aiming for this month or the next 45 days-ish. Percipio being one of them. And the reason why we're looking at it again this month is this is the first time WSU launched kind of a system-wide, you need to go into Percipio and do a training. So it's the cybersecurity training that's in there. So thank you, Tony Burt, for making us all go through something like that. I have to say, I am super, super busy. This is probably my worst time of year, even though there's a time frame to get that done. But I got the email and was like, this is not a good time, WSU, for you to throw something else on my plate. But I was able to click the email that came, logged straight into my Percipio, and it was right there on the top. And that is such a blessing for me, because before, when we had Skillsoft, you would get those emails, you would click it, you would log in, and you just got like the generic Skillsoft page. And you had to like figure out what random combinations of words to type in there to get the course that would come up. And then it never really seemed to be titled the exact same thing that was in the email. So like 5 or 6 of us would get together and be like, is this what you found? Is that? No one has time for that in the history of the world. So this was, it populated right to the top of my page. It had a due date on it. It couldn't have been any easier. I clicked on it. It does take you a while to get through it if you haven't done the cybersecurity one. It doesn't let you cheat the system and just like speed forward to the test. So the educator in me actually loves that. The AP staff member in me didn't really like that through it. The cybersecurity is super important to everyone, so it really does have a lot of value. But so we're still continuing to communicate about Percipio and support those communications because it is a resource that is much easier from a user standpoint. So super excited about that. When my life slows down, I will dig into it a little bit more because it looks like you can make training paths for yourself in there. So like if you want conflict resolution skills, you can go in there and kind of search that and it'll kind of populate out a training program for you. So I'm excited to play with that feature. I haven't yet, but I will. So that is one of the 3 things that we are still communicating about this week. The other one is the staff mentorship program. I'm a huge advocate of staff mentorship. I have mentors in my life that have been phenomenal. And getting to a point into my life where I could be a mentor instead of the mentee. So that that program is open through HRS right now. It is free to join. You can be a mentor or you can be a mentee. There's a recent CNN study that said that people that have a good mentor are 90% more happier in their job than people that aren't. So I think we could all be more happy. And I know it's really helped me. So if you haven't ever had a mentor or been a mentor, maybe look at something like that. I think everybody needs a little extra support right now. Not a huge heavy lift in time. It's something that your mentor and mentee can figure out what you need. And if you don't get a good pairing, try a different pairing, right? I mean, it's not all going to be magic in the beginning, but work at it and see if you can find someone. So I personally support that program and encourage everybody to look into that. The third prong thing we're looking at this month or the next 45 days is open enrollment. And that will be our HRS presentation here later in the meeting. So open enrollment begins November 1. And that's your benefit services package. So although we can't give you a raise, there are benefits available to you that I highly encourage every year you at least audit your benefits package. So what's going on in your life that may change your medical or things like that? Are you in the best one for you? Hi, Tom. And look at that. So I just think some great transparency to see what are all the cards on the table and what's available to you. So those are the 3 things we're looking at this month: Percipio, mentorship, and open enrollment. Is there anything? I'm making sure there's no screen behind me of Anna telling me to say something else that I'm not saying. Okay. And so that is what's going on my end, or kind of strategically high level. And so now we have what's going on in our committees. Our committees have been hard at work this last month now that we're up and rolling. So I'm gonna pitch it over to committee updates. So the first one would be the budget report. And Carla, I was wondering if you could touch on that.
Yeah, good morning. The budget committee has received all the requests for funds and we'll be reviewing those. And then once those are reviewed and approved, then I will have a budget to report on in November as far as what we're going to spend our budget on. And an update on what we've spent so far, etc. So.
And Carla, do you feel like you've received the ones that you need, or do we need to do a reach out to any of the committees?
I think I'm on the marketing committee, so I'll make sure that whatever we need gets put in there too. So.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Jenny, are you on? Jenny, you have time to unmute?
Sorry.
Jenny Glass and Jenny Van Houten, both muted currently.
Jenny, he said there's two Jennys, Jenny Glass.
Jenny Glass, do you want to speak at all to diversity, equity, inclusion? No, maybe she stepped away for a minute. I know that Daniel is traveling right now. He did send me an email this morning that said that they had met with the Council for the Success of Women and someone else. Anna was on that email that he said they talked to. Can't remember off the top of my head. But they're continuing to do good work and really networking with other constituencies across campus, just give us that really broad base. So very excited to have that committee kind of leading us forward in those DEI initiatives. The next committee report would be election and bylaws.
Yeah, so the Elections and Bylaws Committee has been working on a few things. The large two items that we've been working on is first the call for a special election, because we're very short on APAC members, particularly from Spokane and Everett. Everett currently doesn't have any representation and Spokane is missing a rep. So we're looking at sending that out November 1, having it closed November 30. So if there's anybody who's on the call from either of those locations in particular, I would very much encourage you to consider putting your name in the hat. This is going to be specifically targeting some of the non-Pullman locations. However, it will be open to everyone since there are openings available for all locations. The other things that we've been working on is some minor adjustments to the bylaws that we'll be sending out in the hopes that we can have it voted on for the November election. First one is going to be an update to the role of the treasurer and essentially setting up a backup so that if the budget committee is no longer active, we have some additional transparency and the specific language will be going out shortly for that. The other bylaw adjustment is an update to the organizational structure for voting. Technically speaking, we are not supposed to be using Zoom. Thank you, Anna. Not supposed to be using Zoom votes to count. It is either in person or electronic via official WSU email. So we're recommending that we update some of the language for that. If you go down to item 2. Effectively so that we can use either Zoom or whatever the electronic meeting platform is that we happen to be using at the time. So again, that'll go out with the hope that we can vote on that for the November election. I'm sorry, November meeting. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Paul. I think that's really important that as times change, that all groups keep an eye on their bylaws, because there are things in there that, technology has just changed and we need to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to be inclusive for our members. And we know that Zoom is invaluable to us when we're spread across multiple locations. So kudos to you guys for really digging through and making sure that we're up to speed and as current as we can be. So we look forward to that communication and we will try to vote on that in November. All right, committee near and dear to my heart, professional development and events. Spencer, you got anything for us?
Yeah, I have 2 things. I touched on this at the last meeting, but AP Appreciation Week is scheduled for the spring, April 10th through the 14th, with the AP Appreciation Awards being on Thursday the 13th in the Coventry Barn. Over the lunch hour with some light refreshments. Should be exciting times. We will have that live streamed out for branch extension and other campuses. And then the second thing, there was a long discussion at some of our last meetings about what kind of fall event we can do, or last year it was the Caramel Apple giveaway, and how we can just kind of do both a member engagement, membership awareness kind of drive and still make it something where it is truly system-wide and not just a Pullman-focused event. So what the events committee came up with was actually a fall photography contest, basically showing the changing colors on your campus for fall where you're at. So there will be an open submission from pretty much today through the end of November, with winners being announced at the December meeting, and then the events committee actually meets today, and we'll finalize kind of what awards are going to be given out during that.
Wonderful. And we're discussing that a little more in detail in the November meeting, right?
Yes. Yes, we are hoping to get some tips and tricks going too.
Great. So the November meeting, if you're not a photog, we will have someone for photo services here to kind of give you some tips and tricks. We will be focusing next month's meeting on marketing and communications, as we've already rolled out the new brand standards for WSU, but there is a new website coming for WSU. So if you live in the Marcom world like I do, it was like a home run that we're updating that system as well. So yeah, be thinking about that, be snapping some photos. I love that idea and the inclusivity, and we'll talk. I probably have some good stuff on hand that I can give out as prizes. Great.
We did put in the budget request for that.
Okay.
Thanks, Carla.
Okay. Get us some good prizes, Carla. I could probably supplement out of my swag bin of WSU-ness in my office. Okay, great. Marketing and communications.
Hey, good morning. I was recently elected the chair of the Marketing and Communications Committee, and we had our first meeting week or so ago. We just kind of getting to figure out what we need to do. First thing we talked about was updating the marketing timeline that Tara had come up with for last year and getting that nailed down with dates and events that we know are coming up. And then we talked to Anna a little bit about the timeline for getting information for the newsletter that the APAC newsletter. Figure she's going to send it out about a week before. So, and then we talked about sending social media posts a week before that. That photography contest is a great option for social media. That'll be a great way to advertise that. Talked a little bit about updating the APAC webpage, but I hear that the W's are going to get a new webpage, so that might be a moot point. And then we talked a little bit about how marketing communication can help advertise internal positions, as opposed to with LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram or whatever we want to advertise those on. And Mike is going to be the rep. He's on the marketing committee too, and he's going to be the rep from the events and professional development, so we can communicate better with that team, because promoting events is part of what we do. And that's really all other than some housekeeping things we did at the meeting. It was good. So we're looking forward to figuring out what we can do to help after the November meeting about promoting more APAC events and activities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Grady, and thank you to the Marketing Communications Committee. I know they do a lot of hard work for us. Just to recap, none of our committees are closed. So at any point in time when you're hearing about what's going on in them and that's getting you excited and you want to join them, by all means, reach out to those people that are communicating, or just that apac@wsu.edu email, and we will get you linked up with the proper committee. More people, the merrier, right? A lot of hands make light work. So the more engagement we can get on those, the better. So I know that they would all encourage more participation in those committees.
So Angie, it might be beneficial, if that's the intent, to have on the webpage, maybe we already have it on a calendar or a page that lists when our committee meetings are, and have that updated with Zoom links so that people can join them.
Yeah, I love that idea, Tony.
Otherwise, people, it'd be hard to know who to talk to or find the time.
I like that idea. So with that, this rolls into any constituent concerns. We did receive a few comments or suggestions online, and I again just want to encourage constituencies to do that. We do read them, we do take them very seriously. I'll have one that I'll talk about right now, but is there any constituent concerns that want to be brought up live at the meeting?
Yes, we had a constituency concern come up in regards to recruiting and our tuition waiver, and that's kind of hindering us in our realm, at least with fundraisers and stuff. They are really looking for something that allows like global campus classes or something with spouses independence that we just don't offer. And so that's really hurting our market right now with applicants.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Casey. That's the one that I read too. I feel like I don't personally know what's going on with the tuition waiver, and if I don't know, then other people probably don't know. So that's one of the things I want to bring in to the meeting, somebody from registrar's office or HRS. I don't even know who manages that, to be totally honest. Bring that person in where we can have that dialogue and say, what is the program? How can we be supporting it? And if it does or doesn't meet the needs of what we have going on. Other universities do some much more robust tuition waiver programs. So I want to look into that. So thank you. Any other constituency concerns before we move on to our presentation from HRS?
I'll mention some things that I'm sort of maybe throwing APAC into the mix for. But one of the discussions, so there's a big IT committee on campus called ITSAC. And it stands for the IT Strategic Advisory Committee. ITSAC is supposed to be made up of IT people and faculty people. The faculty people don't come. They don't, each college should have faculty representation. The faculty representation isn't coming. So one of the things that I've proposed, so that various groups are aware of changes that are coming, discussion and dialogue that's happening, is to make sure that places like ITSAC, Faculty Senate is fairly represented because one very active member comes who used to be the chair. He's no longer the chair, but he still comes and participates. But having places like Faculty Senate, APAC, whatever CS's representation, union people, I don't know how, however they represent themselves, but having their representation, having voices from the various employee groups on campus, I think is important to knowing. So like you would have known about the cybersecurity training and discussion that was coming long before it gets announced and just sort of pushed out. And, representation from APAC may have say, that's not the greatest time to try to push in X, Y, or Z, So it's a suggestion that I've made. It seemed like it was fairly well received. It has to go before the whole committee. But we're looking at turning it more into a governance committee rather than just an advisory committee. And I want to make sure that APAC and other groups, but there's significant representation so that when decisions are being made that affect employees, that, faculty is well represented, IT is well represented, but regular employees maybe not so much. So I'm trying to facilitate that.
Yeah, I fully support that, Tony. I think the more transparency, the better. And I think it's a pain point when we see something change out of the blue in systems that we use all the time. Our systems are pushed down the pipeline. So I fully support that. Let us know what that, what the needs are, what a constituency representation would look like on your end. And then we will put that out to the committee to see who would like to fill that role.
Yeah, maybe having a rep from the APAC committee or APAC leadership on that committee that Tony's talking about I'd volunteer to do that if that's something that would do to help APs in the IT department.
That's great, Brady. Thank you for that. Let's link you and Tony up after the meeting and see what that looks like. And then you can report back to APAC on what's going on. when
I also wanna
workday
bring up-
changes. Go ahead, Paul.
I want to bring up something that was put in chat saying it's particularly pertinent at the moment. Somebody said we have 7 relatively new AP grant administrators and Connors, and we're all coming up on a review date. Does this group, meaning APAC, have any resources if we have questions on the AP annual review process or any suggestions?
Ooh, I love that question. I do not know that answer, but I will find out. I love that question though. So let me get some information and, oh, looks like Carla knows something. Go Carla.
And Angie, Susan, I sent you a link to there's a AP handbook. It's hrs.wsu.edu/AP-handbook/ So the
There's
AP
annual
handbook
review.
does have annual review information in it.
Wonderful. So whoever had that concern, please look at that link. And then if that is not enough for you, feel free to reach back out to APAC and we'll see what other resources are available. But maybe that's something good that we link to our website that's a little more visible. All right, we do need to move on to our HRS presentation, but is there anything else burning constituency wise?
There was a question from Nancy Basket in the chat, but I'm not sure if we want to say that. It's up to you.
We can do it. Definitely.
Okay, well, I was typing the question.
Okay.
I didn't mean to press, but I heard that state employees get a stipend if they got booster shot. Will that affect any of the APs?
Oh, I haven't heard that one at all.
It was advertised in the news over here in Tacoma that state employees get $1,000 if they get a booster shot and stay employed for 6 months. So it may affect when I retire. But I just wondered if that's part of the APAC or whether only the union people get it.
I have absolutely, oh, Casey knows about this. I love that people know.
Yes.
Go, Casey.
Things may have changed, but I did post that question to our HR team about a month ago when it first came out. And they said that it does not pertain to our non-union people that are not a part of that group.
There you go.
Thank you.
Non-union, no go. Thanks for that question, Nancy. That's the kind of, I don't get those. I actually stay away from the news and social media, so sometimes I'm in the dark with stuff like that.
Yeah.
All right,
But
any other pressing? Okay, if we did not get time for your constituency question, comment, or whatever, please do email that apac@wsu.edu and we will absolutely get back to you and make sure you get the information that you need. But I want to be respectful of everyone's time and give our HRS representative time to present to us about what our options are for open enrollment. So, do we have Ann with us?
You do. And
Hi, Ann.
how are you all doing this morning?
We're doing great. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, okay, I sent a handout that might have been distributed with your agenda this morning. And so let me pull it up and we can go through that together. I will say that excuse me, this year, open enrollment doesn't have a whole lot of changes to our benefit structure. As you remember, we've had several years where there was a lot of changes like to life insurance or to the LTD insurance. There are none of those big changes for this year. So I'll go over what is changing and make sure you're aware of that. Are you able to see the open enrollment handout?
Yes, we are.
Okay, great. So again, having switched over to Workday, we're doing all of our open enrollment activity through Workday, as opposed to what historically happened before last year's open enrollment. Before last year, there were paper enrollment forms that people could make changes with. There was also the HCA My Account, an online portal. Navia Services for the HSA and the DCAP program had a portal. Those portals are no longer active to WSU employees, and therefore all changes that someone does want to make, they'll need to make through their Workday account. What should happen is come November 1, in your Workday inbox, you will receive a notice that open enrollment has started. And if you want to make changes, you're going to want to click on that email, go in to make the election changes that you wish to change. We are also, and Angie, I really appreciate you mentioning this at the beginning of the meeting. We're really encouraging people to, even if they think I don't want to change anything, we're encouraging people to please take some time to go review what you have and just make sure that what you think you have is what is reflected in Workday as well. So we're really encouraging people to click on that open enrollment button and either one, review and confirm, or make the changes that you wish to make. We're also capitalizing on Percipio, and you're going to see a lot of open enrollment information posted there, as well as to our HRS benefits open enrollment website. And two things that we found were pretty helpful to individuals last year was, well, how do I make changes in Workday? And we have two videos, a 3-minute video and a 9-minute video. Of course, one is going to be much more detailed, kind of explaining this is why you're going to click this button and this is what it's going to do. Where the 3-minute one is just more of a quick, okay, you want to make a change, click here, click here, click here. So we found that those were very helpful because sometimes people get a little lost in the Workday processes. So I'm hoping that that will be helpful to individuals. Some of the changes that you will be seeing for 2023 is the flexible spending arrangement plans. If you remember last year, there was a new option rolled out to us as state employees referred to as the limited FSA. A limited FSA covers only dental and vision benefits. And we still have the full medical FSA, which covers all eligible health expenses. So employees have the choice of either enrolling in a limited plan or the full medical plan FSA if they wish to do that. One of the advantages of a limited FSA, and this is sometimes what caused people not to be able to take advantage of FSA benefits through the state previously, is if they were enrolled in another high deductible plan, or as they're referred to in the state, under the state's benefit package, a consumer directed health plan, they could not enroll in medical FSA as well. But they now can enroll in the limited FSA. So our CDHP participants have a health savings account, and they can use that health savings account to cover medical expenses, dental, well, not medical expenses, things that aren't covered by a limited FSA. And they could, if they wish, enroll in that limited FSA program and have that particular coverage cover their dental and vision benefits. So there's some flexibility in that regard. The contribution rate has gone up. The minimum amount somebody can contribute per year is $120, and the maximum amount for the upcoming plan year is going to be $2,850. And as a reminder, this is the one program, as along with the DCAP, the Dependent Care Assistance Program, that does not automatically roll forward from the current year. So if you have an FSA this year and you want it next year, you must re-enroll. Your current enrollment is not going to be automatically activated in the new year. So if you want that, you do need to re-enroll during the open enrollment period. With the addition of the limited FSA, the grace period that we historically had ended. And what that was, as a reminder, is if you still had money in your FSA account come December 31st, under a grace period approach, individuals had until March 15th to accrue additional medical or dental expenses that they could claim against their FSA. and still utilize their previous year's funds through March 15th. That has ended and will no longer be offered in 2023. And it's being replaced with what the carryover option. And what that one does is it will allow you to carry forward any unused FSA balances you may have to the new plan year. And then you have the whole year to utilize those funds. It's not something that you have to have it used by March 15th. You actually have the full year that you can utilize it. It's called the carryover option. The maximum they'll allow you to carry over from this plan year to the new plan year is $570. I do see a typo in that last sentence of that bullet where it says $550. That should also reflect $570 there as well. So if for some reason you have a $600 balance, the most that's going to be able to be carried forward is $570. You will end up forfeiting anything over $570. Similarly, if you have less than $120 left in your account, you may not be able to roll over that lesser amount as well. So to be able to carry forward any current 2022 contributions, you are either going to have to enroll in an FSA for the next plan year. And if you do that, anything under $570 will roll forward or be carried forward to the new plan. Or if you have at least $120 in your account, that also can be carried forward. On top of the carry forward, you can make the new plan year election. So if for some reason you wanted to do the maximum contribution of $2,850 for the new plan year, on top of whatever your carryover is, you could make an election up to the full contribution amount for that new plan year. Let's see, I think I have a couple of questions here. Someone has asked if I'm thinking about retiring this summer, fall, can I still contribute to an FSA? The answer is yes, you can. A real nice advantage for individuals if they like this FSA benefit and they know they're going to be separating or retiring in the upcoming year, they can go ahead and enroll in the plan. And then come the last paycheck, so they'd want to be getting in touch with our office probably at least a month before their separation date. They can choose to accelerate the remaining contributions. So in this situation, if somebody's thinking of separating or retiring on June 30th, they could contact us in May. And what we can do is we can capture the remaining FSA contributions from their last paycheck. And that will allow them to utilize these funds for the rest of the calendar year. And if they happen to have an account balance at the end of the year, that carry forward will also be applicable to them. If someone does not accelerate, so let's say somebody enrolled in an FSA and didn't take advantage of that acceleration process, they're able to claim against their account through the end of the month in which they were last employed. And then anything after that, they would not be able to claim any further. So it all kind of depends on a person's situation if they see that advantageous benefit to accelerating their benefit so they can take advantage of the coverage for the full year. Any questions on the FSA before I move on?
You have one in the room.
Okay.
So regarding the shift from the grace period of 2.5 months to the rollover, presumably that happens January 1st.
That's correct.
So I think what expressly needs to be communicated from the rooftops loud and clear is that where people would typically have money sitting in their FSA and they think that they have 2.5 months to use some of that money up before it gets lost. At the stroke of midnight on January 1st, anything above $570 is gone.
Correct.
That is a huge shift.
Yeah. So, I saw somebody said it sounds like an improvement. There's bits of pros and cons. Under the old grace period, if you had $1,000 left in your account balance, you had until March 15th to use up that $1,000. And so the bad part with that is we often had people saying, well, I didn't come up with enough medical expenses to be able to claim that amount by March 15th, and therefore I lost my balance. But you are correct that the carry forward has a limit as to how much will be carried forward. So in my example, if somebody had $1,000 as of December 31st, they would end up losing $430 of that if they did not have any bills to claim against it by December 31st, because the maximum that can roll forward or carry forward will be the $570. So each of these approaches have a little, but again, then they have all year to use the 570. So each of them have a little different approach with this. And so when the state moved and started adding the limited FSA, they decided to move to the carry forward approach. But you're exactly right. That needs to be very clear to individuals that they're going to want at a minimum to have their FSA down to 570 because they potentially could lose anything over that amount.
Well, and my point is more to the open enrollment information that is sent out every year to be somewhat overwhelming for people because it's a lot of information to digest. I think this needs to be a separate announcement highlighting some of the changes that are happening and not let it be just left in the minutia of all the open enrollment documentation, because it's pretty significant. And it might be worth also mentioning when, like, if at January 1st, I mean, what if they haven't fully submitted all their claims yet for 2022? How much time do they have to submit claims to not lose that balance, or is it automatically gone as of January 1?
Yeah, no, the bill just has to be incurred by December 31st. So they'll still have, I believe it's still that March 31st date that they can claim their 2022 bills to be able to claim those monies. But I appreciate all your thoughts, and hopefully you will see we're trying to address that when we get to our presentation portion of my overview with you here today. The other thing, let's see, somebody had said, just kind of wanted to know about a flexible spending account. These plans are something where if you know you automatically are going to have out-of-pocket medical expenses for the upcoming year, you can say, I want to put that amount into my flexible spending account. And then I have that pot of money available for me to utilize to address my out-of-pocket portion. So your deductibles, your co-pays, things like that, you can claim against your FSA accounts. The advantage of the program is by participating in a flexible spending arrangement, those monies are taken out of your paycheck pre-tax, so it lowers your taxable income. Another advantage of an FSA account is your account is front-loaded as of January 1. So if you say, hey, I'm going to set aside $1,200 for the new year, you don't have to pay in the $1,200 before you can make the claim out of that monies. Your account is front-loaded. And so as of January 1, 21, the $1,200 is in your account. And then we, WSU, will just take payroll deductions to collect that $1,200 over the calendar year. It's one of those benefits that's great if it works for people, especially if you know you're going to have medical expenses. If somebody is tapping into this benefit for the first time, they may want to kind of be cautious, thinking, well, I went back and looked at the last couple of years, and it looks like I spend about $500 out of my pocket. That may be how much you want to set aside for the upcoming year, assuming that it's going to be similar. I hope nobody ever loses their FSA, because there's ways that you can generate medical costs or healthcare costs to help claim funds. And one of them most of us have sitting on our faces or contacts. I know whenever I've had an FSA account and I get to the point of the year where it's like, oh, wow, I still have money in my account. And if I don't have any planned medical bills or appointments coming up, I will go get a new pair of glasses and generate an expense. So I get the full amount of the contributions that I contributed in at least paid back to me. So there are ways for you to control some of your expenses to ensure that you don't walk away from any of your FSA funds. Unlike a health savings account. So a health savings account is a plan that goes with our consumer directed health plans only. So our high deductible plans. Anybody that's enrolled in a high deductible plan automatically is enrolled in a health savings account. They're able also to set money aside into these accounts on a pre-tax basis and have that pot of money to be able to tap into to cover out-of-pocket medical and dental expenses. And the maximum amounts that are available in 2023 is if it's just yourself only on a CDHP plan, you're going to be able to contribute a total of $3,850. If you have a family on your plan, you can go up to $77.50 for the new plan year. And individuals that are over 55 can contribute another $1,000. This is never a lose it benefit. As soon as the monies get into your account, they are always and forever your monies. So it's not like I have to have this used up by a certain date. I have to have my balance down by a certain date. No, whatever is put into an HSA account will remain in that account and just continue to accumulate if you're not able to withdraw the funds or don't have a need to withdraw the funds. Another really nice benefit of the health savings account is there is an employer contribution. So right now the university or the state contributes $700 a year into an HSA account for an individual. And if they happen to be on a family plan, they'll contribute up to $1,400 into that account each year. So those are a big perk of that particular program. Unlike the FSA, however, it is not front loaded. So you can only claim funds against funds that have accumulated. So if you have an immediate need come January and you say, wow, I have this $800 bill, I'd really like to claim that against my HSA account. If $800 isn't in that account, you're only going to be able to claim up to the amount that is in your account balance. But that doesn't mean that as time goes by and you've made more accumulations, the university's made its monthly contribution, that you could come back to it at a later time and say, okay, I now have that $800 in there. I'm going to submit the request to get reimbursed. But just be aware it's not front loaded and there won't be funds that are automatically available to you. So again, FSAs, anybody in a low deductible plan is going to have the ability to contribute or participate in a medical FSA program. If you are in a high deductible plan, you can contribute to a limited FSA, and you also have the health savings account. So somebody in a high deductible plan could actually participate in both. Someone in a low deductible plan has the medical FSA option available to them only. Question for the state contribution, do you have to live in the state of Washington? Nope. The simple fact that you're enrolled in our high deductible plans will earn you that employer match. Does the HSA account continue if an employee retires? So yes, once the money's in your account, it's forever and always yours. And in fact, some of the thinking behind an HSA account that some people really like is it's money that I can use now if I have medical expenses now. Or there are a lot of people that use it for a long-term savings account. Hey, right now we're in pretty good shape. We don't have a lot of medical expenses. University's contributing to this plan. I'm going to put money in this plan. You're going to be given options on how to invest the money while it's in that plan. So hopefully it grows. Like hopefully the stock market starts treating us nice again, but so there's potential for that money to grow. And a lot of people will say, I'm saving up for my retirement years or for my later years when I start having more expenses. It's going to be really nice to have this pot of money that I can tap into to help cover those expenses down the road when I may have a higher need for out-of-pocket medical coverage. The big thing is a health savings account. The IRS wants you to be spending that money in that account on medical expenses prior to age 65. Once you reach age 65, you actually could use those money for non-medical expenses. So so again, some people almost look at this as another retirement account, a way to save some money, put money aside that's available to them for medical expenses, but also could be a long-term savings plan that they could utilize those funds for something different in their retirement years. If you waive your WSU coverage because you're covered under a spouse, can you still have an FSA account? Yes, you can. You can still have an FSA. Of course, you wouldn't be able to have a health savings account, but individuals that are not enrolled in a medical plan can still enroll in an FSA benefit. How does the HSA account continue if an employee retires? I think I might have just kind of addressed that the funds are forever and always yours. So you won't be able to contribute to the plans anymore once you're no longer an employee, but you will have the accumulations in your account to be able to use for your medical expenses and utilize those funds in the future. Again, you do have to be enrolled in one of the CDHP or high deductible plans to be able to participate in the health savings account. I'll take some more questions later, but let me just kind of briefly go over the rest of the changes. Again, just a reminder, during open enrollment is when you can change your medical or dental plans. It's also the one time a year where you can add or remove family members without having to tell us why. Outside of open enrollment, we're going to say, why do you want to add this person? Why do you want to remove this person? Did you get married, divorced? Did somebody lose coverage? We do not ask those questions during open enrollment. You can just automatically make adjustments to who you cover without having to provide a reason why. As I mentioned above, open enrollment is also the time that you must enroll or re-enroll if you want to be in one of the FSA plans or the dependent care assistance plan. And some individuals must reattest if they have a spouse on their medical coverage each year that they must reattest to determine if the $50 spousal surcharge is still going to be applicable to them or not. They will receive direct communications from the healthcare authority, letting them know if they're one of the individuals that needs to do that. If they do not address it during open enrollment, then they will still pay the $50 surcharge for the upcoming plan year. All plans, there has been a change in the federal legislation as far as diabetic or insulin costs. So all of our insulin costs will be limited to no more than $35 a month. So that's applicable to all of our plans. The CDHP deductibles are going to be increasing up to $1,500 per person, $3,000 per family. Currently, it's $1,400 and $2,800. So that's the increase that you will see in your deductible for the CDHP. Another thing that will happen is any out-of-pocket expenses you've had, such as deductibles or out-of-pocket limits, can now transfer from an individual who moves from a public employee benefit plan to a school employee benefit plan and vice versa. The only plan that you will not be able to take your deductibles and out-of-pockets and apply it to your new plan is the Kaiser Permanente Northwest CDHP plan, which is going to be primarily for our employees down in the Vancouver areas where that plan is available. There are some other minor changes that will be applicable that I'm not outlining here, but you should have, perhaps even as soon as yesterday, received your for your benefit newsletter if you get an electronic distribution, or you will be getting that in your home mail as well. And it will line out what the other benefit changes are. So presentations, and so this is kind of goes back to a point that was made earlier, is we're going to do our regular open enrollment benefit overview presentation that we do every year, but we're adding 2 more focused presentations. One of them is going to be on the consumer-directed health plan, where we'll go into more detail than what I'm doing here today and make sure people really understand that and how an HSA will work for them. And then we have another presentation that we're going to be really focusing on the flexible spending accounts, where we can stress during that presentation the carryover, the need to have your account down by a certain balance come January 1, et cetera. So we were identifying that since there's not a whole lot of other changes, it's a really good opportunity for us to try to educate and provide as much information as we can. You will see the presentations are going to be posted on our website. We'll do a variety of communications. And you can always visit Precipio or the HRS benefits website, and we'll have all of our presentations once we have them scheduled listed there. Premium changes, sometimes this is the one and only thing people really focus on, is what am I currently paying and what is it going to? This is the chart that will give you the comparison between the 2022 premium and what is going to happen to that premium for 2023. For the most part, you're going to see like some of the Kaiser plans are actually going down for 2023. But most often the prices will go up, but this will give you an idea. This chart reflects the monthly premiums. So what we do is we divide this by 2 and collect half of these from each paycheck. The first paycheck that you will see the new premium rate reflected on will be your January 10th, 2023 paycheck. And just as a reminder, those are also taken pre-tax. So they help lower your taxable income. So for the most part, that's open enrollment this year. I did want to provide a couple of reminders because we're starting to get to that time of year where you will need to be pursuing your wellness incentive if you want to earn that $125 incentive for plan year 2023. You have until October 30th to log into your Smart Health account. You have to earn 2,000 points to earn the incentive. How that incentive is utilized is if you're in one of our low deductible plans, it will lower your deductible by $125, and that's just your portion of the deductible. If you have family members, it does not lower theirs. Or if you're enrolled in a CDHP with an HSA account, that $125 incentive is deposited into your health savings account. So I provided a link there as to where you can go if you want to take advantage of this incentive. Again, you have to earn 2,000 points. You can earn 800 right off the bat by taking their confidential assessment that just kind of will ask you a series of health questions, and then it will give you an assessment of where you are in your health journey and what you might want to be focusing on to try to improve your health and wellness. So there's definitely time to still take advantage of that. So I just wanted to make sure individuals were reminded to not walk away from that $125 that the state is willing to give you if you participate in this wellness incentive program. And lastly, long-term care. Remember long-term care? It was a while ago and everybody was really super duper excited about it. And the fact that we were all going to start getting charged an extra tax. There was components of it that said, you know, the state of Washington said, hey, we see the future and we see that everybody's living longer and more people are going to have long-term care needs. And so our state legislature developed a program saying, we're going to have everybody start paying into this, and then it will provide you with a benefit in the future that you can utilize to help cover your long-term care costs. Some really unfortunate components of that is they had a restriction that said, if you work for the state of Washington, you must pay the tax. But in order to get the benefit, you have to live in the state of Washington. Well, as you can imagine, WSU, we have a lot of employees that live in bordering states that weren't too happy with that. So based on the feedback that they received, they took this back in front of the state legislature, and they said out-of-state residents will have the option to opt out of the program. So hopefully that will make some individuals a little bit happier with this. The second bullet identifies other people that are going to have the option to opt out if they want to. Another group of people were those that were closer to retirement age, because you basically had to pay in 10 years before you would see a benefit out. And so we and the state of Washington heard from a lot of people that said, I plan on retiring in 2 or 3 years. So you're telling me I'm going to have to pay into a program that I'll never see a benefit out of. The state heard that as well. And they said, yes, you're still going to have to pay in, but you are not going to have to meet that 10-year requirement. We'll give you a prorated benefit based on how many years you've paid in. So those are some adjustments that the state made. I know we're at the top or a little bit beyond the top of the hour. You can read what's staying the same in the second set of bullets there on that page. I'm hoping to have some more information coming out about this. What you'll see is the new taxes that we will have to start paying for the program are going to be starting up in July. So I think a lot of people were thinking that may be starting up in January. Nope, the taxes won't be starting until July. So we'll start getting some communication out on that as well. I'm more than happy to stay, but I know I've utilized my time. But hopefully this has been helpful. I hope a lot of this information will be distributed out. I have no problem at all if you guys share it with any of your constituents and start helping share the news. Any way we can get information out, we always appreciate it. So, and of course, if people have questions, they can contact our office.
Thank you so much, Anne. We are at time. So if anyone has questions for Anne or anyone in HRS in regards to their benefits, please reach out directly to them. It's hrs.benefits@wsu.edu. We are more than willing to walk through those questions or comments with you. So thank you for your time, Anne.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me.
And to the rest of our APAC members, if you have other constituency concerns, please do reach out to us directly. And thank you for giving us an hour of your workday to share some of these updates and things with you. So at this point in time, I will call the meeting to adjourn at 10:03. Everyone have a great rest of your day.